从2009年希腊出现主权债务问题开始，欧债危机至今已经持续了4年时间。爆发危机的国家涉及意大利、爱尔兰、葡萄牙、西班牙等多个欧洲国家。人们担心债务危机会像多米诺骨牌一样持续爆发。然而，上周四，爱尔兰总理肯尼表示，爱尔兰政府将于12月15号彻底退出欧盟和国际货币基金组织的救助计划，且放弃预防性信贷额度。这将使它成为欧元区首个摆脱国际救助、走出债务危机的国家。那么，欧债危机是否就此结束？更糟的情况是否还有可能出现呢？我们专访了欧盟委员会内部市场与服务委员会总干事乔纳森·法乌尔。本月，他来到北京，与中国央行、财政部、银监会、证监会、保监会等部门进行经济与金融对话。
It has been 4 years since the European financial crisis burst first in 2009. So we would like to know what's your opinion about it. It's crisis coming to the end, or it's getting worse?
No, it's getting better. It's much better than it was 1 year ago, 2 years ago. And nobody can say that the crisis is completely over, but I think we have shown ourselves, and we have shown the rest of the world, that we are determined to do what is necessary to resolve the crisis, keep the European Union together, keep the euro area together, the 18 countries which share the euro as a currency, and we are making very difficult but very profound reforms in our countries about the way in which the economy is managed, about the way our national economic policies are coordinated collectively together. And, for example, we are putting in place what we call a banking union, which means that for the countries of the euro area there will be a single bank supervisor and a single resolution system for banks that get into difficulties. Resolution meaning that without having to ask the taxpayer to pay for banks in difficulty, which is what we've had to do until now, we will operate a system which has been agreed in the G20 for what we call the bail-in of the shareholders and creditors of a bank, so that in future no bank can be considered to be too big to fail.
Do you think is there any signals of the deflation in Europe?
No, I don't think there is. I think inflation is at a low level, and growth is coming back to the economy. So we are confident that our economies will grow.
But when you're saying the current economic situation is getting better, but it's also quite different in different countries, right?
Of course. The European Union is a big place, not as big as China perhaps, but pretty big, 500 million people. And our countries vary considerably in size and in economic performance. But we have to have solutions for all of them.
Yes. So which countries are more difficult to you to improve the economic situation?
Well, I mean, the economic situation is slowly, with great difficulty, improving generally. But some countries, of course, have had very, very serious difficulties, which have resulted in very high levels of unemployment, in particular youth unemployment, which is a very, very serious problem for us. And those countries are making very considerable efforts and reforms to the way in which their economies are managed. So the effort is both a national one and a collective European one.
虽然在全球经济危机的冲击下，各国的日子普遍难过，但欧洲内部的差异却也十分的明显。作为欧盟经济的领头羊，德国的经济状况相对较好。最新数据显示，今年9月，德国的贸易顺差创历史新高，德国产品的出口竞争力逆势上扬。自 此前，德国进行过痛苦的大刀阔斧的改革，削减了福利开支，放松劳工法限制和鼓励中小企业发展。然而，这样的措施未必能在其他国家推广。虽然欧洲有一个央行负责协调各国的货币政策，但却没有一个统一的财政政策。经济动荡时期，各国无法独立使用货币政策工具，只能依赖财政刺激。有些国家盲目扩大财政赤字，最后入不敷出，无力还债，这也成为欧债危机爆发的一个重要原因。
As far as the reason of this crisis, many believe it's due to the common currency versus the separate fiscal policies.
Well, there are many reasons, but that is clearly an important one. We have realized that to run and to manage a single currency, we have to coordinate in a coherent way national fiscal policies, and we have put in place now a system for doing that. It is not one fiscal policy. We're not one country. We remain 28 countries or 18 countries in the euro area, but we now have a system which takes proper account of the interdependence between our various countries.
So, is there any chance or possibility to improve or change the current system or mechanism in EU?
Well, it is being improved. It certainly needed to be improved, and that is why we have created a system of economic and fiscal policy coordination, and that's why we have created the banking union to provide for a single supervision system and a single resolution system for the banking sector.
But all the country members agree with that?
Yes.
Also, it's quite agreements, no any challenges.
Well, there are challenges. It's not easy, but take, for example, the creation of a single banking supervisor. We have created what is called a single supervision mechanism for banking. It required the agreement of all 28 countries, unanimous agreement, and we achieved it within 1 year.
So what do you think is the next challenge to the Europe, to the EU, the economic situation, I mean?
Well, we have to consolidate the systems that we have put in place. We have to complete the work on the banking union, and we have to make sure that our system of coordination of economic policy works properly, and we have to create jobs. We need jobs for our young people, so the growth that we have begun to see coming back into the European economy has to be sustainable and has to increase.
欧债危机使欧元在全球货币体系中的地位受到挑战，甚至一度引发欧元区会不会解体的疑问，也迫使人们反思欧元的制度设计。根据欧元区稳定和增长协议，成员国要做到预算赤字占 GDP 3%以下，政府负债占 GDP 60%以下。本来达不到标准的希腊就曾通过财务造假进入了欧元区。然而，对于不遵守规定的国家却没有惩罚和退出机制。2011年，德国和法国曾对欧盟改革方案展开讨论，希望形成一个更加统一、规模较小的欧元区。希腊在欧元区的去留问题一度成为外界关注的焦点。虽然最终希腊等国留在了欧元区，但是欧元区是否会缩小仍是个未知数。
Is there any danger for the existence of euro?
No.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But is there any mechanism that the member to quit to Eurozone?
Oh yes, there is. I mean, what we have realized is that to sustain a single currency among 18 rather different countries, we need, first of all, political determination. That we have shown abundantly. I don't think everybody believed our leaders when they said we will do what is necessary to preserve our currency, and they have done that. They and the European Central Bank and the European political institutions. So the first thing you need is clear political determination, and that is, I think, very much established. The second thing we have done is created a whole set of new laws, new rules for the coordination of national fiscal and budgetary policies, and again a banking union for a common system, a common set of institutions to supervise and resolve banking institutions.
Why you are so certain about the euro's stability?
Because the political leadership of our countries has very clearly said that the euro is our currency and we're not going to change it. And secondly, because, but that's not enough, secondly, because we have realized that in order to have a single currency with a single monetary policy, you need to coordinate fiscal and budgetary policies, and that is what is happening.
But you come from a country where people don't use euro but pounds, so it's not a challenge to the Eurozone?
No, that is the reality. We have 18 countries which have the single currency, and we have 10 which so far do not. That will remain the case for some time. We do not find that a particularly difficult problem. We have several currencies in Europe, and we have mechanisms for coordinating a single market, including all of them.
So what's your opinion about the future of euro? What's competition between euro and the US dollars?
Well, I don't see it so much in terms of competition. The euro is an important currency in the world. It is the currency of a successful economy, and it will continue to be that.
But the US dollars is still the dominating currency in this world, right?
Yes, but this world is changing. This world is changing because of this country where we are sitting as well, China itself, and it's changing because of developments in the world economy and in world politics. The fact that the G20 has become the most important body in which these issues are discussed in the international community shows that this is not only about Europe and the United States anymore.
Speaking of China, it's also one of the emerging markets. The emerging markets have been influenced by the crisis in Europe. And now the US, also the crisis in US, but now the economic recovery goes quite well in US, also in Europe. And the emerging markets also facing challenges of the capital withdrawal from their countries, their nations. So it's quite difficult time for the emerging markets, also India and Brazil, and also maybe in China.
Well, there are challenges, and we have learned from the crisis that we are all interrelated. We are interdependent, and what happens in one country has an effect on others. That is why it's important to have the dialogue for which I'm here. It's why it's important to talk in the G20, in the Financial Stability Board, and to understand each other. And as I said, we are dependent on you, and you are dependent on us. So what happens here is of importance to us. What happens in the United States and the other countries you referred to is important as well.
So if all of these countries or nations work properly, can this kind of crisis be avoided? Or actually the crisis can see as a natural therapy to some wrong system or wrong behavior in this market?
Well, nobody can say that we will make perfect laws which will work forever in the future. But we have all worked very hard to understand what has happened, why it happened, and to make sure that it doesn't happen again in that way. The banking system will develop, it will evolve, and we have to make sure that the regulatory systems we put in place in our respective countries and jurisdictions and together internationally keep pace with the developments in the banking system.
But different countries have different regulation laws, how they can cooperate profit.
That's what we do in the Financial Stability Board. It's what we do in the G20. We agree, it's not easy, but we agree common principles, common standards, common recommendations, and then we make them into law at home. You do it in China, we do it in Europe, the Americans do it in the US, and so on. But that's only the beginning. Then we have to make sure that all of our different laws work in a seamless, well-coordinated way, because so many of our banks are in China, so many of your banks are in Europe, so much of the international financial business these days is international. So we have to have not only national rules, we have to have international rules as well.
We know this, the first burst in 2009, but before that it's about more. 1997, 1998, the financial crisis burst in Asia, especially in Asia. I mean, it's quite close this time, just about a decade. So do you think the financial situation, financial environment has been becoming more difficult or more dangerous?
Well, clearly we allowed risk to be built up and did not put in place the proper systems to assess and to manage risk. And that has to be done both in law, in regulations, and it has to be done in each individual bank properly. And I think we have understood fairly well now what happened, and all the work we are doing should ensure that it doesn't happen again in exactly that way.
But can you, we also see the negative side. Can you see maybe the next financial crisis will be coming?
No, I can't say that. We are human beings. We are not perfect. We may make mistakes. What we are trying to do in our generation is make sure that the next generation, I hope it's several generations ahead, when they face difficulties, will have the right instruments to deal with them.
Since the dialogue, the mission you visit to China this time, did you discuss what a better financial system we should build up in this world?
Not in that general way, but that is what we are all working on all the time. The financial system we had has been exposed by the crisis starting in the United States and then in Europe as having certain weaknesses which we had to address. So we have all been working very hard in making sure that banks have enough capital to withstand difficult